Hey, guess what? Our podcast, which we now drop 3 audio podcasts a week. We used to just drop 1. We drop 3 free audio podcasts. Now, if you want, of course, if you're a premium member, you get the whole show unedited, all the stuff in between. We say everything, the super chats, whatever you want. You get that as a member. You can get that for $5 a month as an audio, or you get the video for $10 a month. There's also other tiers now. If you want to ask a question over our... Oh, it's not there yet? Okay, I'll let you know. So there's going to be, we're going to add where you could ask me a face-to-face question on our, what do we call it? Super premium streamiums? Yeah. Guess what? Here's our podcast, Chartable Apple Podcasts. They put it under the performing arts. Number 1 is The Moth. Number
I did
2.
That.
No, you did The Moth?
Yeah.
Number 2 is I didn't know that. I'll have to listen to your Moth. I didn't know you did one.
Yeah, put it in Kurt Moth.
Number 2 is Snap Judgments presents the Magnus Archives, Snap Judgment again, LeVar Burton and Friends. That's for kids, I bet. Risky. Number 8, the Jimmy Dore Show.
What?
Whoa.
Top 10 podcasts. Isn't that nice?
Yes, Jimmy.
That's our podcast.
All time.
So that's the all time. That's what it says. Apple Podcasts, United States of America, Performing Arts, all time bestsellers. Boom. Jimmy Dore Show, number 8. Below us is the great detective of the old time radio, and then the voiceover coffee shop.
LeVar Burton reads. Imagine that's for adults with the minds of children.
I think it's for children.
I bet it's for adults.
I mean,
I bet it's like the science guy, Bill Nye.
He was on
Reading Rainbow.
Yeah.
So who gives a shit about that except people are grown? I'll bet he's reading to them.
So guess what? Chris Hedges, a friend of the show, Pulitzer Prize winner who got let go from the New York Times because he wouldn't stop talking about the Iraq War. And he's written some great books. One of them I actually read, America, the Farewell Tour. And he's been on the show many, many times. He says, I was just informed by Max Alvarez, the editor-in-chief of The Real News. Now, you've seen The Real News. They consider themselves independent.
They consider themselves the real news.
They will no longer run my show. The reason for the cancellation, he said, is that my critiques of Biden, especially for the genocide in Gaza, jeopardizes his nonprofit status.
Does it?
My last show with Dennis Kucinich, who is running as an independent for Congress in Ohio, was removed from the site. So now, I tried hard to find the video, but as soon as Chris Hedges, remember he used to have a show on RT, and it was called, I think, On Contact. I think that was the name of it. So when they got rid of RT on YouTube in the United States, he then took his show over to The Real News. And I immediately said, Chris, what are you doing? Why do you think you need someone else to film you talking into a camera? They're just going to cancel you as soon as you say something that crosses their line. As soon as you have wrong thing, I said this in the camera, and I tried hard. Malcolm tried hard today to find it. He knows how to look up that stuff, but he couldn't find it. And I was so wish I had that video of me telling him, because they did a very similar thing to Aaron Mate. Aaron Mate was telling the truth about the Syrian gas attacks and Russiagate, and they got rid of him. So here, and I said, what are you doing? They're going to get rid of you. You don't know what happened to Aaron Mate? I said that into the camera. I'm sure Chris Hedges didn't see it. I'm sure he doesn't watch the show. But I was so wish I had that piece of video just so I could pat myself in the back. But I told him a long time, what are you doing? Of course they're going to. I mean, I'm surprised it took this long. Good thing Chris Hedges didn't look into COVID or the vaccines or lockdowns or masks or anything, because this would have happened a lot sooner.
It's
I
funny,
can't believe it took this long.
It's funny the stages of finding out which things are a scam and fake.
Yeah.
And it's everything. But you don't want to believe it at first. You go, well, surely the one part they're not fucking me in the ass on. There's just this part. No, it's all of it. The whole thing.
But he's got a Substack, so that's smart of him that he has a Substack. So everybody go get his writing over at Substack. And I would be willing to give you all the advice I could give you on how to start a video show. It's not hard. There's not much to it.
He's from the age of where it's the hardest to do that.
Yes.
Because I remember it felt very difficult for me.
I mean, there's a lot of
it.
moving parts to this show. We have at least five, 6 employees or whatever. We have a couple of editors. But you could get it done, Chris, by just yourself and an editor. And I'll tell you how to do it. I'll hold your hand, walk you through it. Would love to see you do it on your own. And I'm pretty sure you could put video up at Substack now. Can you or no? I think that they're not. I remember they tried to get us to go over to Substack, but they weren't ready to handle a real video show. But I think maybe now they are. Who knows? But anyway, and get yourself a Rumble channel. What are you doing? They're just sitting there waiting for you for free. I bet your Rumble would even give you money if you did a regular show. I'm sure they would. So anyway, a lot of people are heartbroken over this. I knew it was a matter of time. I was surprised it took this long. I'm like, what? Is Chris Hedges not out freaking doing anything over there? Why is he still being allowed to do his show at Real News? So a lot of people, here's Aaron Mate. Sorry to hear this, Chris. Your show is a dose of much needed sanity, and your loyal audience will surely follow you wherever you're at. Yes, I know. So why did you waste all that time over at Real News building up your freaking show over there? How did you? I'm a C student, and I saw this coming.
That's why you saw it, because you're not a Harvard. He went to Harvard.
I think he went to Harvard Divinity School.
Yeah. So because that guy's smart, and he went at a time when I'm sure you actually got some kind of an education. So what do you think he's going to abandon the entire? Like, it's hard to go from. I mean, found it very difficult going from just steady basic cable work to having to do like your own. I still find that difficult, but it's very hard for him.
Yeah. Well, I was motivated when I started my show. It was me and Hank Thompson, and I was motivated. It took a lot of work on both our parts.
Take the means of production.
Take the means of production away from the man. Yeah. Exactly,
Kurt. Never want to do that.
And it was a lot of work. I had a job at the Young Turks. I would have to drive across the city to go do their show every day or often, and do my show over there. But I still made time to do my own show and build it up. And I don't know why he waited this long. So now anyway, I would be more than willing to help advise you, Chris, if you're into that, if you need some advice. Danny Haifong says, this is awful, Chris. It's not so awful. It's not. He has independence and freedom. And again, he should have. I thought he should have did it. I mean, no one likes to see somebody get canned. I'm not happy to see Chris's show get canned. That's not what I'm saying.
He does,
but he's bigger than the fucking Real News.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. It's like Candace. Right. It's like Candace Owen.
Yeah,
kidding. It's like.
Would you see that wormy thing they did to debate her, and then Ben Shapiro went and put a
gag order on her. Oh, I should have covered that. Yeah, I did. I tweeted about it. Here's Anya Parampel, who has a book coming out. She says, tremendous loss for them. Exactly. It's a loss for them, not for Chris Hedges. I mean, maybe a little, but it's a loss for the Real News. It's not and they're not the Real News. And I knew that.
I've never heard him say anything where I was like, wow, he should be taken off.
No. Dennis Kucinich, whose episode was the one that got censored, he says, we're at a watershed moment. Censorship and intimidation are openly used in furtherance of ethnic cleansing and genocide. So grateful for the extraordinary courage of Chris Hedges and others who courageously stand for humanity at this grim hour. Let us remain steadfast.
You know, we all need a big hug from Mamala.
From Mamala. Max Blumenthal from the Gray Zone says, after the highly suspect's ouster of the Real News founder, and they got rid of the guy who founded the thing. How did Chris Hedges not see this coming? They got rid of Aaron Mate. They got rid of this guy, Paul J. Chris Hedges' departure will deliver the nail in the coffin to a once trailblazer. Yes, this is bad for Real News, not Chris Hedges. This will deliver the nail in the coffin to a once trailblazing alt media organization. TM Scruggs, the lone sugar daddy of that. So that's what it is. So there's a donor. And that's he was upsetting the donor. Has driven this outlet into the ground with his erratic personality and reflexively imperialistic views.
TM Scruggs.
TM Scruggs.
Does he look like Yosemite Sam? That's
Google's TM Scruggs stuff. The Real News will now...
I say, boy, get Chris Hedges off it.
I said that Joe Biden, I say Joe Biden is sharp and effective. The real news will now follow hollowed out or defunct online progressive outlets like Alternet, Salon, Truthdig, Mother Jones, and many others into oblivion. They all have gone into oblivion. They all repeated CIA and FBI talking points along with places like the Young Turks and MSNBC contract people. They all did that. These organizations rose to prominence during the George W. Bush post 9/11 era, marketing themselves as anti-war alternatives to the establishment, then gradually collapsed under the weight of liberal foundation donors, Obama worship, then Trump-era Russiagate hysteria, while their staff became infested with dysfunctional conformists driven by the current thing. I have known Hedges for about 2 decades and learned a lot from him throughout that time. I'm excited for his next act and as a truly independent journalist. Well, he is at Substack already. So, yeah, we're all excited to see what his next video project will be. I should offer him a spot at the Jimmy Dore show and then cancel him.
Jim Scruggs is an ethnomusicologist.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he studies like African music. How much you want to bet he's been to the Grove? How much you want to bet?
To the Bohemian Grove, you mean?
Well, we call it the Grove.
We just call it the Grove?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's a Grove here I call the Grove.
Yeah. The mall?
Yeah, the mall. The outside mall. It's called the Grove.
Where they tied that boxer up at the mall?
Okay. Over to Steph.
If I were Rabbi Shmuley and diddle 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 digga digga diddle diddle dum, all day long I'd diddle little bums. If I were a Shmuley man, I'd peddle all my dildos, dreidel dildos, selling dildos with my daughter and her mum. If I were a Jewish Shmuley man, I'd be digging with a dildo in my bum. I'd wear a grotesque nose and go grab some goyim right on the nipple with a pinch. A Shabbos lap dance brace for the youngest mensch.
Hey, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there for more AM Joy and the rest of MSNBC. And click on any of the videos right here to watch the latest interviews and highlights. And you can get more videos from MSNBC for free every day with our newsletter. Just visit